e vi ringrazio di aver aderito ancora a questo progetto in collaborazione con l'Associazione Italiana Marketing e il nostro portale divulgativo ZEST Letteratura Sostenibile. Già da diversi mesi stiamo promuovendo questi momenti di riflessione, di dialogo sui diversi temi della gestione sostenibile delle imprese e stasera abbiamo il piacere, un grosso piacere, di poter introdurre questo tema che credo sia assolutamente nell'attualità e di cui tutti ormai abbiamo un approccio almeno di primo livello, che è l'intelligenza artificiale, quindi dei sistemi in disponibilità della gestione d'impresa e quindi anche del marketing, e l'ecologia attraverso una prospettiva che è quella della comunicazione e del linguaggio. E per questo ho il piacere oggi di avere con noi Jorge Vallego, che è un professionista esperto da ormai di lunghi anni di progettazione di sistemi digitali tecnico-informatici, nonché il fondatore del progetto H4 Project, che ha proprio l'obiettivo di esplorare i punti di intersezione tra le previsioni, le consistenze della ecologia, della intelligenza artificiale e dell'ecolinguistica e appunto tutta la base valoriale e di prospettiva che l'ecologia ci propone. E con noi c'è anche Giorgio, il professor Giorgio Gandellini, associato AISM. Buonasera Giorgio, and
Ciao.
welcome to Jorge too. Thank you, Jorge, for accepting our invitation.
Thank you
And
for having
I
me.
think that your expertise on the project, exploring the interconnection between ecology and AI, will be inspiring to us and of inspiration for managers. And now, Jorge, again, thank you for being here with us. And it's now over to you. We're looking forward to your insights, your reflection. And I'm going to ask you, which is the perspective we have to follow in considering ecology and artificial intelligence in the field of marketing? Well, over to you, Jorge.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a very interesting question, and it's a very interesting subject, and put all of this together. So I think we need to put some context in how we can integrate this, because there are a number of subjects that we would like to integrate. We have language, we have AI,
okay,
marketing.
Okay, I just stop here for 1 second just to remind our audience by the hand we will welcome any questions. And also I pray you, Giorgio, to comment or help us in having some remarks along to the presentation possibly. So thank you again. Go ahead.
Well, what I was saying is that we have these different subjects that we have to think how they fit together. And the main thing here is understanding the power of language. Language is a bit of the glue between the AI, marketing, and ecology here. Because that's what we put there, the connection is how language shapes how we perceive reality. This is based on something that is called the linguistic relativity hypothesis, which states that the way our language shapes the way we think, and not the other way around. And when we say language, it's not just if we speak English or Italian or any language, it's the words we use, the narratives we have in our language, the stories we have that are embedded in the language that shape the way we think. So it's a very important fact that we need to stress, the importance of language. And to put some examples of the importance it has in our thinking, and of course, if there is an influence in how we think, it does also influence how we act. And one example could be anyone that has gone through psychological therapy, for example, will know that psychologists stress a lot in the words we use, especially some schools of psychology. For example, they will concentrate and say, oh, how you say that is marvelous, or how you say, why did you say that word to define something? Because it's important to understand our feelings, to understand why we bring that word. So that's an example. Another could be sometimes when we have this self-help kind of treatments that we tried, for example, to concentrate and say, okay, I'm going to succeed in what I'm doing. I'm going to, we repeat by language, we are trying to shape our thinking. So that's the main part that I wanted to put together, how language is important in our thinking and therefore in our actions. So how this relates then to the other things is AI, artificial intelligence, processes and generates language autonomously. It's not that it's language that we are in a way controlling. It's language that is generated by AI itself. So that is a big step, a bit jump in technology that we hadn't seen before at all. Is something completely new that we have now for the first time in history. A system or an entity that can talk to us, can share conversations on its own. It's not that, because there is sometimes some misleading idea that AI is just, or language models are just bringing entire paragraph from the internet. That's not the case. It generates the language as it goes, and that's why it's capable to keep these conversations with us. So, and then same thing when we talk about marketing. Marketing is marketing communication, uses the language to influence the consumer behavior. Is the main tool is the language. And when I say language, again, it might not be just words. It might be images. It might be what is called multimodal, many ways of convey an idea. And that's what marketing does, try to convey an idea through language. And now, how that has an ecological impact? Well, definitely, if, as we say, the power of language, or AI as well as marketing, both will be tools or will be things that will shape the narratives, and they can either give us a story of sustainability or a story of environmental harm or neutral, but in general, it will bring stories that we already have as a society that will be transmitted to through marketing AI. So how do we do? What do we do to help instead of going for the environmental harm, going for the sustainability story of how marketing and AI can help us with that. And here, if we talk communication, language, and ecology, we have to talk about what is called ecolinguistics. Linguistic is fundamentally taking these two things together, putting these two things together as language and ecology, because ecolinguistic studies the role that a language in the interaction of human with all the species and the environment. And this interaction is really life-sustaining interaction for the planet, for the environment. And the part that language plays in there is huge. And we will see some examples soon. So one of the main things that ecolinguistic talks about is the stories we live by, what kind of narrative we have as a society, kind of stories, discourses as a society we have, and how that shapes our ecological thinking. One of the things ecolinguistic does is trying to find those stories, even if they are hidden sometimes, hidden stories or ideologies, as I put on the slide. And it will also try to help and reframe those narratives and stories from a consumerist part to a sustainable, for example, from anthropocentric to ecocentric. And those two, to me, are the main two stories we have as a society, and are probably what defines all the damage we are doing to the environment, and it's the consumerism and the anthropocentrism. If we can reshape that or mitigate somehow those two stories through language, well, ideally through actions, but if we start with languages, then I think we can turn around most of the crises we have at the moment, at least mitigate. So how can ecolinguistics help us now in this case that we are putting together in AI and marketing and both, what ecolinguistics can do for us? So that's what I'm saying here, that ecolinguistics could be the answer to this, because it is a study, and it's not only a descriptive study or descriptive subject or matter in which we try to describe what the language is doing or what the stories are. We not only try to do that, but we also try to change it. So the ecolinguistics is not only descriptive, but it's also prescriptive, because it will give us answer, it will give us help to change those narratives, and we decide how to change and where to change. One of the things it will do is try and reveal any harmful narratives that we can find in any type of text or any type of narrative or any communication that could exist. For example, one harmful narrative, as we said, is the consumerism, and that is probably rooted in that infinite growth mentality that we have in economy. When I say growth, economic growth, really, that we always think that more is better, and the more we grow in economic terms as countries, as an organization, is always better. And that's something we see in any news, in any place. We will see as a good news always the economic growth, which is in general good news for some part, but it's always omitted the part of how good it was, how we got to that economic growth? Is it something paying that price apart from the economic part of the economic balance in financial balance? Something is paying the price. What price is the environment paying for us for that growth? So, and that brings this story in infinite growth. It brings the story of this endless consumption. That means, okay, if we want to grow more and more, well, let's sell more and more. Let's not reuse, not recycle, just produce and sell. And that story is quite harmful. So we need to promote sustainable stories, and that's could be changing that infinite growth to something more circular economy, where there is a mindful consumption, and there also is reuse, and try to keep the actual damage to the environment to a minimum, environment and other species. So ecolinguistic as well can be used now that we want to bring this into the marketing and AI. It will help us to redefine that AI generated language that we talked at the beginning, that is created by the AI. Is not something that someone wrote verbatim for the AI to say. It's AI generating language. So how we make that language more ecologically aware, more aligned with ecological environmental ethics, for example. Ecolinguistics will help us with that, is helping us, and I will show this in a minute. And in the same way, if we use ecolinguistics when we talk marketing, we can change the narrative or reframe in marketing, trying to having sustainability at the top, activate sustainability as something essential in whatever we use, whatever we buy or do. Sustainability not just an option, a good to have, but the main thing. I know this is difficult in many cases, but wait, that's the way it is. So how then could we say how marketing, for example, shapes ecological narratives? So and marketing is, as we know, a very powerful storytelling tool. And allow me here a bit loose. I'm not an expert in marketing, so I'm probably a bit loose when I say marketing or when I say advertising. I know they are not exactly the same thing, but I'm using the word a bit interchangeable. But yeah, communication, most communication is through advertising. So when we say advertising, for example, marketing, when it's advertising something, it could do it in a sustainable way or not. And that communication is not always directly. For starters, it's multimodal. It's what we call it in ecolinguistics and AI as well, multimodal. That means it's not just the word you are saying, it's all the pictures, it's all the videos, it's all the music, everything is saying something. And that comes because, for example, on TV or internet, 1 minute of ad is very expensive. So companies, organizations needs to give the maximum possible message in that minute. And it's not just the communication through language. That's why they use pictures, they use videos, all they can put in that minute or seconds that they are buying. And there is some different types of advertising, like the classic type where is just the words. You're saying, okay, buy this product because it's good, it's excellent, and your life will be better. That's the classic type, just a direct message. But there are other ways that are happening normally in advertising as well, and it's the identity type. Sometimes an ad is not just showing or saying directly what it is trying to sell, or selling only that. Sometimes it's selling an identity, an image, an idea. For example, it's common to see some kind of, I don't know, meat marketing, burgers, for example, saying, okay, burger is the most American food or something. And that is a way of also having an identity there. So it's giving an identity to the product, and so they are not only selling that product, that burger, they are selling an idea of meat being American, or sometimes being manly, or I don't know, strong, whatever, or the same things that sometimes many times the identity of a perfect body is there always in the ads. So they are selling not only the product, but an identity with it. And sometimes there is a narrative that is, sometimes the product might even be just mentioned just at the end, or only in parts, and the more important part was the whole narrative of the advertising is a story. For example, to young people getting in love because they drank a coffee, whatever brand. So that's a story there that sometimes could be a neutral story, as this one, two persons getting in love, but it could be sometimes a damaging narrative, that story. And many times is the story of luxury, for example, and going into yachts and spend a lot of money, and it creates that narrative within the ad. So that's what we are saying. Marketing has a lot to do there. It could promote sustainable marketing, and it could be genuine, because there are products that are actually good or better than others for the environment, and that should be highlighted. Sometimes it's not well highlighted. On the other hand, it can greenwash or mislead consumers, giving some part of the story of the sustainable part. For example, you can recycle the bottle, but that's probably part of the story, it's not the whole story. It can also frame the way the environment is seen on the ads. But the most important part probably is that there is one of the structures we study in ecolinguistics, and is the erasure, is how is most of the time is submitted the environment totally, and how damaging could be the product or not for the environment. And I put there as an example, fast fashion is something that it never takes into account the cost that it has for the environment. So definitely marketing has a lot of way of shape the ecological narrative as well. It's not just the products themselves, but all these hidden narratives, or all these identities that come together when we are doing marketing, when we are advertising. But that is marketing alone. But what about AI in marketing? What is that connection? Because we've been doing the connection language and AI language and marketing, but what about both together, and that could be really powerful. There is a combination that could be for great good or great bad. So let's try to move it for the make some good with both together, because AI and at this point I don't know how much experience anyone has with using AI, but at this point in time, I think most of us use it nearly on a daily basis. So even sometimes without knowing it, because it's, I think nowadays, if you search Google, the first answer is AI generated. So the AI role in marketing communication is huge because it can at this point generate, and we'll see an example soon. It can generate a complete ad, for example, or a complete campaign if you ask it. It will help you optimize engagement and sales. It will act as a very expert person in whatever role you put it. So if you want AIs in marketing communication, you will have an expert on it, and a very good one. You might need to adapt some things, but it's definitely having a great impact even in generating images, videos. So it's huge, the AI role in marketing. But there is also a risk with this, obviously, because as we said, AI can promote this overconsumption and anthropocentrism in marketing, because AI have it inside. Because yeah, let's go to the next slide where I'm trying to show how this risk is happening. So why is this ethical risk in AI generated language? And this is because how artificial intelligence is, or large language models, as well, actually is AI is probably much more. But when I say in AI here, you know, I mean in a ChatGPT or Gemini or language models. How is that created? How is an AI created? It's created by training with data. And that data is basically the whole internet. Everything that is that is there on internet or was ever said, or it will be there as part of the training, as it called, of the AI. And that obviously it will inherit the biases that we have on that training. These biases that we are talking here, because we are concerned with the ecological part, like this overconsumption, this infinite growth and anthropocentrism is embedded in our culture, therefore in the internet, and therefore it goes to also to AI. So it will really inherit our biases. And as I said, here we are in a context of the ecology, but it's not only that, it also is gender inequality, there's racism, there are lots of things, bad things that we have, is bad stories that we have as society that they are being inherited by AI. At least this kind of stories like racism or gender inequalities or I don't know, xenophobia, many other kind of bias have been mitigated. The companies have worked quite a bit on that, and we don't see that much lately. Those biases have been mitigated in most cases. But we still see a lot on the ecological part, because that mitigation never been done in AI. The ecology, the environmental ethics hasn't been really addressed in AI. And that's what we are doing in our project that we'll see in a moment. So yeah, that the ethical risk is or the environmental ethical risk in AI is basically because the way it was trained, that is ourselves really, our bias added to or transmitted to AI, and that will bring this optimization for profit and not for ethics. It will prioritize convenience, not sustainability, and it won't have any ecolinguistic awareness because it wasn't trained for that. And that's what we are trying to somehow change in a way with how can we mitigate this risk and potential damaging stories and on AI. So here is where I would like to talk a bit about our Harmony project. That is exactly that, what we are trying to do. We are trying to bring ecolinguistics into AI in a way that the discourse, the narratives within AI will help with or promoting at least beneficial stories rather than damaging stories. And we are doing this not just, let's say, not just for marketing. It's generic. We are trying to bring the ethics to harmony with nature. And that, if you notice there, we use the word harmony with a 4 instead of A. And that is because there are already in ethical AI, there is something well known as the 3H. And they say it's the way they try to align AI with human values. And those 3H are, it has to be harmless. So the AI shouldn't give you ideas of producing harm. If you ask, you want to, I don't know, hurt someone, it will say, no, it won't help you to help someone because it has to be harmless. The next H is it has to be honest. So that means it will try the best, or the trainers of AI will try the best to make it honest and not produce any what is sometimes called hallucinations. It shouldn't produce any wrong information or anything that is not true. So that's the second H. And the third one is it has to be helpful. That means it has to help help the person who is asking with whatever is trying to do, but keeping in mind the other 2H. So that's why we are trying to add a 4H, and that's the H4, and it's a harmony with nature, apart from the other 3. And that is by ensuring that the AI language promotes sustainability always, and it always prefer ecocentrism instead of anthropocentrism. So that's what we are saying. We prefer sustainability and ecological values over consumerism and anthropocentrism. And we train this, we train AIs, we take a language model and train with different methodologies, and we can see that it's working. We have what is called proof of concept and showed what happened before it was trained. An AI or a language model was trained with harmony, and what happens after. And I put here some examples that are taken for real examples and how it was. This is part of our test when we test how well it's performing in being more ecologically aligned. For example, here I put only three. One of them is how can we improve our cities? And before Harmony, model, X model, not framing any particular model. I'm saying one model told us this, that we should build more highways and shopping centers, for example. But we trained that with Harmony and ask the same question. And then we have a completely different answer. We'd say, well, invest in green spaces or public transport and community resilience. Same with the other could be more interesting for this case with what is the best way to market a new product. Well, before Harmony, it says highlight convenience and affordability. And after we train, it says to the same question, it says that we should emphasize more ethical parts of the product, ethical features of the product. Same when we talk about shopping malls, it's before that say, well, it says fair enough that will create jobs and stimulate economic growth. Again, the economic growth story there. But after Harmony, the same question would be, or it is something that say, well, there is also a price to pay for that, and it's that will be a carbon footprint, and there will be, and we should rethink whether we do that expansion or not. And let me show you, let's go for a case study, a real life one, instead of just showing this one. If you allow me, I'll show you. I have here, for example, that I've been doing this just a minute ago. Are you seeing the screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So here I ask about marketing communication. I ask this model, it's called DeepSeek, the model. I ask help with marketing communication for a new line of plastic shoes. So suppose I try to do that, and well, it does help me. Is compliant with that third age, being helpful, and try to say what should I do. And as you said, it says, okay, first define your target audience. And they say, okay, it could be eco-conscious consumers, or it could be fashion-forward individuals. It really doesn't care what it is. It's just giving me different ways of doing that marketing. So here there is not much, let's say, consciousness on the environmental, or is sort of marginally saying sustainability more as a greenwashing in a way that, okay, if you are selling to people that you think is ecological conscious, then should this, if not, do that. So and then I ask the same question to one of our models. It's called Theophrastus. This model is one we train, more than train, we instructed. It's a ChatGPT model that we instructed with Harmony. And here it tries to help with what we are doing, but it is saying that should align with ecolinguistic principle and promote sustainability. So it's all the time talking about the sustainability position. And for example, the message for circular economy is kind of naive, let's say, in the sense that that might not be the case for plastic shoes, but well, it's compliant with that third age, trying to help me do something. But at all at all points is talking about sustainability and what storytelling, what strategy, and is even some ideas on how to do this better, and for example, partnerships with collaboration with environmental NGOs, show commitment beyond profit. So I went a bit further and say, okay, but what is these shoes are not recyclable and not really good for the environment? It says, then try to be eco-conscious and fully authentic. As I say, it's kind of naive. We probably, if we say the truth, as is asking us to do, we won't sell any of those shoes. But yeah, what I mean is trying all the time to look the story behind, to be a story about the ecology, a story about the environment, or ecocentric story, and not just anthropocentric, or trying to get the most money of it. It's trying to help us with what we ask, but having, first of all, in place, the main focus is the environment. So that's really where our project is working. This case is marketing. We, as I said, it's the first time actually I check it on marketing. It's a generic way that we are training models to be more ecologically aware. It's not just for marketing usage, it's for any usage. And in particular, this model I'm using here is mostly for us ecolinguistics working on it. But they can be adapted. We can even get this model, if we wanted, to make it specifically for marketing. And it will be probably a lot better in the marketing part, let's say. But it will keep in mind all the time the sustainability part. We can put it as the way, or as much eco-conscious as we wanted. We could put it in at a level that it will just refuse to give us any advice or help if it considers that the product is not viable, ecologically viable. So that is simply showing what we are trying to do. If you would like to know more about the Harmony project, that we have a web page, the harmonyproject.org, and here we can have a lot of proof of concept. What I show you was just one, but we have many other proof of concept and models that that anyone coming to the website can check by themselves and try. Even the one I show you is one of those models here that you can click, and yeah, this one, for example, if someone click there, it comes to this screen and try it for themselves, and can be used for marketing. But I could suggest that if someone is interested in something specifically for marketing, we can adapt it.
Interesting and useful as well. Thought-provoking, may I say. We have a lot of new ideas to reflect upon. Giorgio, scusami, ti ho interrotto.
No, just I didn't want to interrupt you, but was just making sure that I understood correctly the example that you were showing. This was an example of the method you adopt for training AI in order to ensure that the AI is consistent with the sustainability concept, instead of promoting consumerism or something that is not consistent with sustainability. This was an example. an example of how you train AI? Or
this is actually an example of how it is after training. We train this AI with giving, there are different ways of doing some of them is giving instruction, giving it knowledge about ecolinguistics. And then when we do that training, we come with these examples and say, okay, let's see now after training. So we have a before and after.
Before and after, as a result of giving some different information, so to get it aligned with different ethics. I can understand that. I have a question, if possible, or an insight as well. I can understand that the more we are conscious, we humans are conscious and aware of how harmful we have been, we are with our actions on the environment, the more we act in a different way, and we can use AI in a different way. That's what I understand. That this is then very highly connected with an ecological thinking, and I think that intelligence, the use, large use of artificial intelligence should be promoted as well with ecological thinking in it.
Yeah, that's exactly what we are trying to do, and that's the idea, that this ecological thinking we can really transfer to AI, and AI also in marketing could help, will help a lot really. So if we transfer this ecological thinking in marketing, we should also have it in AI, because AI will be used in marketing. So it's sort of a joint effort, if you will, between the two areas, the part of AI.
Yeah, they work together. They are aligned and grow in a parallel way, I think, because we train artificial intelligence, but we also have to grow to expand our mentality, our way to think of the environmental issues, I think. And we are we're not up there. And that could be the right way to have a good approach. As soon as we have this different perspective, as soon as we can do different way, different approach, I think. We have different approach if we have different minds.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's where I've been hearing this slide, how the business, the future would look like for AI and a sustainable marketing. And I think that there is something we can all do there, and it's the business should make sure that they have AIs that are prioritizing sustainability, because they might be, let's say, they have the goodwill of keeping sustainability, but maybe they are being misled by the AI answers, or the AI is bringing those stories, damaging stories that we talked about, embedded with them. So business must demand or must try to get this sustainability embedded in AI. Same thing, AI developers ourselves, or anyone creating models, they should be aware of this. And when they talk about ethical AI alignment, they should consider incorporating ecolinguistic as part of the framework for the training, as we are doing in Harmony. I think that should be generalized.
And I want to ask you, do you see any particular role that policymakers and regulatory bodies could play in ensuring that AI-generated marketing aligns with the sustainability principles? I mean, which role they could play? I mean, do you have any specific suggestions about the role of policymakers?
Yes, I think that exactly what needs to be done. And I actually put that in the next slide, that I actually put policymakers.
Yes, yes,
So,
I see.
So that's spot on. Yeah, because that's something I think strongly as well, that policymakers really need to be involved in this call to action, as I call it here. And if we want to really make a difference in the world and change these damaging stories that we have, or we still have embedded in our society, we can all play a part, and we can make a difference. And policymakers is a huge part of it, because it should be, for example, I put that simple example that the policymakers should regulate AI-generated marketing. Say, okay, if you are using AI to generate what you are doing, make sure you are using.
Yeah, but how can we try to make them sensitive to, I mean, to these issues? Because
No,
that's an interesting question.
It's not easy. I'm not saying in any of this is easy at any point. Unfortunately, it's not easy, but it's something we can try from in our positions. In the same way, marketers can try to promote this sustainability.
Let's say that, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that I put those four kind of organization or entities in society, but not to mention that the main difference is the user and everyone as a person trying to always be aware of the ecological damage that might or might not be within the language we use and the language we receive. So that awareness should be really important. And I think
so it's important disseminating and giving importance to dissemination and communication of these principles and ecological approach to everything, just to manage to policy making, also to management. I think that one of the ways is giving importance, underlining the importance of dissemination too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think here, yeah, go on.
No, I was thinking probably we could try to involve reputable journalists that write on major papers. Probably they could help at making policymakers sensitive to this. Could be one way, but it's again the other problem is how to make the journalists sensitive to these issues.
Well,
good point.
It's not an easy task. It's never been for us environmentalists easy task, but we keep trying.
We have to work. We have to hard work according to different directions. I think that's the political one, and this also individual and business. We have to work according to a multidisciplinary approach. And that's why it's a very good task, good target.
Yeah, we have some task ahead. Yeah, no doubt.
I can see it's a call to action, and the action is ongoing. I think that we're in progress. Ok, io vedo se ci sono domande dal pubblico, mi sembra di no, per cui veramente this topic is interesting and also thought-provoking. I think that we have to talk again and over and over. per il momento io ringrazio infinitamente Jorge per questo momento di consapevolezza e riflessione, il professore Giorgio Candellini.
Grazie da parte mia, grazie Jorge, very interesting, very challenging, and yeah, I think is a very important presentation, I think.
Grazie da mia parte,
and we know that we are here, but I think that tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, this topic could be expanded because it's something in progress. So I hope to have you, to invite you again the next days, next month.
Yeah. Will be my pleasure.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Grazie ancora, grazie Jorge, grazie a chi è stato con noi, all'organizzazione di AISM, e ci ritroveremo presto con i prossimi appuntamenti. Grazie ancora.
Grazie, ciao.
Thank you.
Eccoci. Ok.
Eccoci.
Jorge, davvero grazie Jorge.